All right, welcome into Gridiron Icon, the podcast. We are back. I am joined by my partner in crime, the iconic number 88, Mr. Preston Denard. How are we, my friend?
I'm doing outstanding. I am looking forward to it. You're looking well, and I'm so excited about our guest, our first female iconic guest.
Breaking ground.
That's breaking ground. Yeah.
We're breaking ground. I, too, am very excited for this guest. I am going to do my typical introduction, and I'm sure those that are listening in on all the major podcast networks will know who I'm talking about. Our guest tonight, folks, and again, we are excited. Our first female on here. This is fantastic. Dawn, no pressure. I just gave it away. This person was once an embraceable you for you Rams fans and danced on the sidelines of NFL games as one of the original Los Angeles Rams cheerleading squad members during the best years for the Rams, the late 70s and into the 80s. At age 18, became one of the original Los Angeles Rams cheerleading squad members. My goodness, 18. She embraced the stage as a cheerleader on the Johnny Carson show, as well as many other events. And as we follow her throughout her career, throughout this show, we're going to find out that she has moved well beyond performing there for us on Sundays and has become a noted filmmaker, storyteller, writer, and much more. Everyone, welcome in the iconic Miss Dawn Gilliam.
You get your own applause.
That's great. Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. Long time
It's
no
our
see,
pleasure.
Preston,
Yes, it's been some years. And you know, Stacy, when we started this thing, I started thinking about what kind of guests we want to have on our show. And of course, you know, it's heavily Ram based, but we've taken it to another level. And the first out of the box thought I had was this young lady. We've been friends for years. We haven't talked in years. We've always been just right on. And we were two young kids growing up in this game, same field, same team together. And how cool is that? Cheerleader, the athlete, and adults now with just great memories back then.
I can't love this. I can confirm Preston literally mentioned you on one of the first times we connected together and we're talking about guests for the show. And I couldn't be more excited that you're finally here. You're finally here. It's every guy's dream, the cheerleader, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
and it's listen, it feels like a reunion of sorts. I'm with two Rams in the room, and I couldn't be more excited for you, Dawn. So as we typically do, we like to go back to the beginning, way before Sundays for you. I mean, 18 there's not much more of a beginning. She was a baby. But tell us about Dawn. Are you from Southern California? We know you're still there, as we'll come to find out. But tell us where you're from and how you got started.
My father was in the Air Force, and my parents grew up in Monrovia, California. And so we would come back to visit the grandma. And then in 1975, we came back and was here. And I went to community college, Citrus Community College, and I was a cheerleader there. And my sponsor, or the person that was over us, she said, you need to be a professional cheerleader. And she is the one who, I guess the halftime person had been there or something. And so she reached out to him, and just so happened, like a month later, they were having the first tryouts. And that's how I got there.
Wow. You were just in community college, and so you got discovered.
Yes, you know, because I have always been a cheerleader. I had older brothers, and so I was always an athlete and always a cheerleader. And so, yeah, it was just natural to go to, get on the cheerleading squad there. And she just thought I was professional enough to go and become a professional cheerleader. And just so happened that when she reached out to the Rams, they were like, I think it was like a month later, they were having their auditions.
Wow. That's outstanding.
Wow.
Now, you talked about being an athlete and a cheerleader. What were some of the things that you did as an athlete?
I could run track. I was an 80-yard low hurdler. I was really good at that. And I did the 400, we called it the relay, 400-meter relay.
Yep.
And so I was the last leg. because I was fast.
Wow.
Oh.
I did not know that. That is
of it.
pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Wow, you were the anchor. Unbelievable.
Played sports, played softball. My brothers, they taught me how to play softball. I bowled. I still bowl. You know.
Wow. Mhm.
But yeah,
That's a sport.
I was an athlete. Yeah.
The all-around athlete. Okay.
That's fun. And you started being an athlete as a young girl? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, with older brothers, they kind of push you that way, right?
Exactly. You know, just that's what you did. You know, on the base, being a military kid, you kind of had activities that were like bowling was a big thing, and then all the sports, you know, because of school and everything. So basketball, all of that. I couldn't shoot worth a darn. I could do a layup. You know.
There's a lot of basketball talk on this show. We should warn you. Nolan Cromwell was on here
Oh,
telling us about
yeah.
about his dunking prowess, and Preston was backing him up. So that's
yeah.
that's fantastic. So you settle in as an Air Force kid or a military kid. Did you have to move a lot of schools and deal with that? A lot of times, military kids have to move a lot.
Yes, and so I was actually born in Zaragoza, Spain. I do have the ability to be a citizen there. I finally visited my birthplace probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Didn't speak enough Spanish, and but I made my my way to an official type of office, and there is my birth certificate was in Spanish because my father, when they went to Spain in the 50s, they were the first 70 families over there, and they were over there for about 6 years. So they didn't really have it all together, and so my birth certificate is in Spanish, but there's a little serial number, and so I had taken a picture of it, and I showed the lady the serial number, and she put it in, and she spit me out 2 birth certificates. So it's like, yeah, I can. I'm looking for dual passports, you know, that type of thing. So yeah, you know, I was born in Spain, and then we went to Marysville, California. Then we went to Victorville, California. Then I went to Thailand, Okinawa, Grand Forks, North Dakota, and we ended up in Izmir, Turkey.
Wow.
Good
What a
grief.
journey.
Yeah,
That's incredible. And this was all between what ages? Just as a little girl to 18?
yeah. I remember going. I was 11 when we went over to Thailand. So actually, I remember Victorville, California, because it's just a desert and stuff like that. I remember that. And we left to go to Thailand, and I was 11. So I remember everything from then on.
That's about when my memory kicks in too. That I have always been fascinated by military kids because they seem to go through life differently because you're so used to having to change and adjust and read a room and so on and so forth. What other stuff did you like doing as a little girl besides sports and Big Brothers? And I'm assuming, were you a cheerleader in Pop Warner? Was that even a thing?
I just was always a cheerleader, but whatever my brothers were doing, because they were in all the sports, I would be the cheerleader on the squad. I remember I basically played with my Barbies, and I'm
okay.
really I was the tomboy. You know, it's like I, you know, would run it with my brothers, but when I was home, I'm the only girl, so I would play with my Barbies. And I feel that it has led to what I do today as a script supervisor in the film industry. I'm a storyteller. So I would sit there and I would be creating stories and all like that. And I have always been very creative. And so back in the day, because I don't know when I was around 10, 11, we didn't necessarily have stockings for Black women. So my mother we would dye our stockings. And so I started taking my Barbies and putting them in the dye, and I would create my own Black Barbies, even though.
Really?
Wow.
That's
That's ingenious. I love that.
Well, I love that history because I mean, we're all in the similar age that the country was different. We'd like to think we've progressed. Some days I really wonder, but I mean, and during that time, well, a lot of the people we have on the show have shared with us getting through 60s, 70s, and some of the changes in the country with minorities and some of the challenges there. I mean, as a kid, you know, I'm that guy. We take for granted the kids aren't made for every kid, or the toys rather, are made for.
Yeah.
And there you were like you were being creative with a toy already. Interesting.
Yeah. I remember that, and it's interesting because Barbies back then, The head was soft rubber, the arms were soft rubber, and the legs were soft rubber, but the body was not. So she would be brown, except when she would have the white body. Ken did not die. Ken was completely hard plastic. He never would die. So yeah.
Come on, Ken.
Yeah, Ken.
This makes me feel bad because my sister played with Barbies too, and those rubber arms, I just pull them off. Like I don't know. I know I wasn't a nice brother. We won't go there, Don. You had nicer brothers.
Yeah. See, my deal was when I was younger, I played with my sister's dolls, but Don's just saying that, that was something that was a calling card for her in regards to what she does today. I hope that's not equivalent to where I'm at today, playing with my sister's dolls.
I think you're secure enough to do that.
I'm secure enough to do that. Well, Dawn, cheerleading was obviously the first place we met. So take us through those early days when you went out and tried out. How tough was that? Going out there with, I would imagine there were hundreds of ladies that were trying out.
There were thousands. My number was 704.
Whoa.
And so back in the day, we learned to sew. So I sewed myself a little outfit, and it was brown satin, and I put a little butterfly applique on the behind, and I made myself a little satin bra, and then I had like a little netting over it, and I wore heels. I don't know why I knew this. I can't really remember it because I don't know if they had said something, but we were in Hollywood. And so when I got there, them ladies were in bathing suits. They were like, it was interesting. It was very Hollywood, and I knew nothing about that kind of stuff. And so I remember sitting there. I didn't want to get anything on me, so I would only drink like a Coke or whatever, and I just sat there, but I watched. And interesting enough, I can really take it back to what I do today. My job is watching. I watch actors, so I watch continuity. I have a thing like I know if I watch things, what is missing or what has not been done. I see what's in common. Did not know this. I'm like looking back now and saying that I have this ability. So I watched. And when I got down there, you walk up, you see the judges, you walked up on this platform, and some of the ladies were doing their thing, you turn around. And then you walk down, and then you ended at the helmet where David Mearsh and the choreographer, which Susan Shera, was at the end. I did a cartwheel split and came up because what I was a cheerleader. Wasn't nobody doing nothing.
Really?
And I did it in heels. So I ended up, they were taking them every 75 girls at a time. And then, they would see it. And I think it was every 75. And then from then they would pick some. And so I made the first cut because I went up there and did a cartwheel split and came out.
With high heels on.
Very interesting.
Wow.
And
so the athleticism.
Yeah. There you go.
Wow.
I have this.
That's what
I have this phrase that says, separate yourself from others. That's exactly what you did. You came up, you identified, you came up with a creative selling marketing point of yourself, and you knew how to do that. That's always been a part of you, and obviously it's related here. So as we move forward, tell us how you realized the announcement that you were selected.
Well, I remember, I think we had 3 cuts, so each time you make a cut, you're just happy, and it went over a couple of days and stuff. And I remember Walt Chamberlain was there on one of the last ones. He walked up to me and said, "You made it." That's basically, he like whispered in my ear, and I was like, "Oh," that type of thing. And but actually, how they contacted us, I'm sorry, I can't remember that. But
Wow.
Was he a Laker?
Say again?
Was he a Laker then? He was playing for the Lakers, or was he just hanging around beautiful women?
Yeah.
I was 18 and sheltered, so I didn't know nothing about nothing, so I knew who he was, and that's about it. But yes, I do believe, I don't know, I can't tell you. You would have to look it up. 1978, was he still was he still a Laker?
I don't know.
I can't remember that one. I don't think he was at that time, but he had just finished.
I remember him being one of the judges and stuff. But yeah, he came up and he told me on the last night, he goes, "You made it." He whispered in my ear.
How cool is that? So you go on, you actually find out you make it, you get a part of the squad. This is like a first rah-rah for them, but you've had some wonderful experiences. How long did you cheer for? And tell us about some of the exciting things you did. One of them going on the Johnny Carson show. Who gets to do that?
Yes. So we had four, they broke us up in 4 lines, and I was in the last line. And so I would go home and I would practice dance. It's like I could dance, but I never really did organized dance. So it was a combination of using cheerleading moves and dance moves. And so I would go home and I would practice. And when it was time for them to pick on the Johnny Carson show, I was in line 1. And that line got to go on the Johnny Carson show.
Wow.
I did get poked in the eye or something in rehearsal, and I sat in his chair, and he was like, "You should sue," or something. I was Johnny, to sit in the chair. And so that was just really the beginning, of it. That was like pretty cool. And then I always say we were the hostess for the mostest.
Mostest, yes.
Golf tournaments, we did charities. Eventually they created the singers and the dance. They would do USO shows. I didn't get a chance to do any of those because I really couldn't sing. And who could really sing. But yeah, no, we were able to just do so much. We were the it girls because, the first year that they had them. And at 18, I will admit that I was up in some clubs that I shouldn't have been in, but I was following behind the older girls, getting in the club. Jackson, do you know who we are? It was crazy.
I love it. And you know what's so parallel, Stacy? What she's explained about what she went through trying out and being called back and being cut, these different stages. Same thing the athletes went through. I mean, training camp, you lasted 4 weeks and there was one more cut to try to make and so on and so on. But a lot of the parallels that she's saying, we did too. A lot of them didn't cross. So take us to some of the disciplines, and everybody seems to think they have an idea about athletes and cheerleaders, but tell us about some of the disciplines they had to share with you or ask that you all maintain in regards to the players, the athletes, because there were some events that we did things together with.
Yes. We pretty much, they said that you were not supposed to fraternize, and that's the word they use, fraternize.
Okay, that went out the window.
He was being very PC. Let's get to the chase here.
That's what they call it. They just straight out and tell you don't fraternize with the players. And so, again, 18, wasn't even thinking about any of that, even though, So I just want to talk real quick about our uniform. First, we had a uniform that were called Sun Dancers. But then there's a group in San Diego that said, no, we'll sue and stuff because we're the Sun Dancers. Okay. So then we went to Embraceable Youths. And the outfit had like this sleeve and it went up and then it went down and then it had a hole in the middle, right at the cleavage. And so, and it went up high on one side and down on the other. As a costume for maybe stage, it was fine. But for the field, it looked lopsided and it was a little uncomfortable with the hole, trying to make sure that everything is staying out.
Love it.
So then we changed to, which I liked, we changed to a jersey. And then we had to make sure that our numbers, we had our name and I think on our numbers on the back, or it was just numbers, but it couldn't be a football player's numbers. So it was, and then we had, we wore Nike tennis shoes, which it was way more comfortable, as far as an outfit and moving around and stuff like that. So they changed our name from Embraceable Youth because people were coming up and embracing us out of just, strangers. And then we just went to the Los Angeles Ram Cheerleaders.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Like an invitation to touch a cheerleader just because of the name. Unbelievable.
Wow.
yeah,
People.
so
Didn't know that.
yeah, but back to fraternizing. Yeah, no, we weren't. But when they, which was really kind of odd, but then we would do events together, so you couldn't help but to meet your person, or a person, type of thing. Or they just put you together. Okay, you two are going to sit down and talk. And again, it's
Oh
always the
boy.
host. I always just call it the hostess for the mostest. We were just really there to just smile and take pictures.
I mean, I have to ask from the fan perspective. You've got a beautiful woman and a young guy athlete who's got a lot of ego. I mean, does that really? Did anybody
I
follow
did
the
not
rules?
have an ego.
Well,
No,
I'm not
just kidding.
talking
Just
about
kidding.
the very humble Preston Denard here. Not my humble co-host. Of
I just had to
course.
throw that in.
He has no personality. I could see him just being a wallflower, right? But I mean,
my God.
you've got a beautiful woman. You've got players. I just from a fan, without, of course, we're not going to put you on the spot, but I mean, they broke the rules, right? Like, oh my goodness, you're cute. Let's hang out tonight. I mean, that stuff happened, right? It's been 40 years or something.
I think that everyone has a clique, and that because you do meet them, in these settings, and then you kind of like a couple of you will form a clique, and then yes, you'll just go hang out at wherever, in someone's hotel room or whatever, and hang out, and we would just have games and fun and that type of a thing,
good.
because we were on that field together.
Mm-hmm.
We were down. They were making that touchdown. So so we did have a bond, an indirect bond, but usually, you just kind of did what you do, 18, 21, young folks.
Oh, that
Young
was
single people. I mean, come
Make
on.
it happen. Single, you just kind of make it happen.
well. You know what? It was also pretty cool because I don't know how it is today, but back then it was really a cool thing because you respected each other as professionals. You had something in common. It was a great bond. You did things together. You had events and all of that. But I remember I used to always come out on the field pregame warm-up, and I would just give high fives to the cheerleaders going out. And so that was my ritual every game. So I got to doing that all the time. I only did it with the Ram cheerleaders back then, and it wasn't the ones my last couple of years with the Rams when I left. So it was really cool. So we have a great time. You're a cheerleader. I mean, it's how long did you last being a cheerleader?
Well, I did that first year, and I actually went on the dating game as a Rams cheerleader. There was 3 of us.
What?
And I was picked. You probably don't know this. I was picked.
Yep, I
And the
remember
man
now.
who picked me, we ended up getting married.
Yeah.
So,
Is that a story?
Really?
I had a baby, but so I missed the year that y'all went to the Super Bowl. But I came back the next year, which everyone was surprised, and it's probably the poster that you have. You said you had the poster, me on the side.
I do. Yep.
That year that I came back after having a kid, yes, a lot of people were shocked, and I did that for 3 more years.
Wow, that's right.
So
Okay,
That's
so
amazing.
4.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. I mean,
so
that's Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dawn. That's inspiring to women who they think they have a baby and they have to go, bake cakes all day. You came right back, and that's
not her.
incredible.
I had her in November, and tryouts were usually around March, I think, March or April, and they were shocked. But I was still, I was still young. I'm still like 20. I'm 20. I had her when I was 21. So I just
That
went
is
back.
a great story. Preston did not tee me up on that one.
Hey, no, I didn't.
That's phenomenal. I mean, first, I always wondered if anybody ever came out of the dating game with a relationship. So now I know someone. That is amazing.
We were together for about 7 or 8 years, and it's crazy. I forget, and then I remember. It's like I met my
That is
Wow.
phenomenal. So, okay, so you were back to doing the cheerleader. I have to ask your standard fan questions for people who don't have access to you on every day. Uh, I've got to ask, first of all, I've been a lifelong Los Angeles Rams fan forever since I was a little boy. I'm going to guess that, or maybe I built it up in my own mind. Did you guys have any kind of a rivalry with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, or was because we've discussed a lot of Cowboys on this show?
Not really. We didn't. We were just, yeah, no, not really. If anything, it would have probably been the Los Angeles Raiders that had come. And so
Oh,
a lot of those, a lot of, there were a few Los Angeles Rams cheerleaders who didn't make that cut and went over to the Los Angeles Raider cheerleader and made that. I think it was for 2 years or something before they left. And
Hmm.
so their bond is really, really close. They do stuff all the time
Do they?
together, more so than the Los Angeles cheerleaders. Yeah, but so I would think if any rivalry was that, yeah, we weren't really worried about nobody else.
wow, scandalous. Didn't make the Rams, end up on the Raiders.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
Preston, there's a story there.
Yeah.
mhm.
Oh yeah.
You know,
There he is.
and I know a few, yeah, and that happened that year, yeah, that they came, and I think they only came for 2 seasons, and
Yeah.
then they went back to Oakland. Yeah, so there are, that's another new group, type of a thing of supervisors.
Wow.
But yeah,
I'm about to
How incredible. That,
go
there's,
back
gosh,
and look at some old game film.
mhm.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for sure. So,
Yeah.
okay, crazy, silly questions. Bear with me for a minute. Cheerleaders, to me, like have to, especially today more than ever, because I don't have a good memory. But were you working out all the time? And as a cheerleader, you were already athletically gifted, obviously with track. But does a cheerleader have to work out the way a football player? I mean, obviously a little different, but I mean, there's a lot of working out going on, right?
It was a lot of dancing, and you have routines and stuff, and so we would practice anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week. We
Wow.
we would go at the beginning of the season. We would have a camp that we would go. So I remember, I think it was in Lake Arrowhead, and so we would
Mm.
be there for the week, learning our routines and stuff like that. And then, as the season progressed, we still had at least 1 to 2 workouts a week. And yeah, I mean, we like full on workouts. So you would either have definitely always train with your pom poms, and which is probably a 2 or 3 pound weight. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Wow. It's like a kettleball now. Yeah, I mean, I've often won aside from the fact that you're beautiful ladies and everyone loves cheerleaders, we can get that out of the way. We all know it's obvious. I always thought they got to work out like constantly to dance for 3 hours on a. I mean, I'd
yeah.
be exhausted after 3 minutes. So incredible. So, do you think cheerleading's changed in the NFL? I want to save a lot of time for what you're doing now, but
Yeah.
before we exit the Rams, do you think it's changed the business of it?
I think well, yes, I think that they're probably doing more. They're still probably doing the charity end of it, which is always nice. I think that the routines are becoming, just a little bit more, or a little bit more complicated, or they're dancing more, or a dance cheerleader kind of thing more.
Yeah.
But I think that they are, still going out there and being the hostess for the most.
I love that. Do you mind if I ask this question? I mean, cheerleaders are obviously, again, beautiful women. That's a given. Just is that hard to deal with when you've got a bunch of just bozos up in the stands who are, I mean, I can't imagine. I've always wanted to ask, what's it like for a woman who has to, she's making a professional career, but you've always got some guys that maybe aren't the best guys, yelling and doing stuff. Was that always hard to deal with for a woman back then?
Well, you just kind of like look at it, but like we're pretty much protected. I do remember
Yeah.
one time we were doing a hardware convention or something like that. So we were either
Ugh.
doing a performance, and then we were just out amongst the people, just being nice and stuff. And someone came up and kissed me on my back, and I just remember it's just
Wow.
frozen. Yeah, drunk. They're a little
Unbelievable.
too much, and that actually made me um, just a little bit more aware. And then if I saw it coming, I would like try to leave, or we would be two. We would never go anywhere alone. You always have somebody
Good.
with you. So yeah, we're aware of that, but it was like not. It was an exception and not the rule, type of
Good.
thing. But we did always protect each other. We didn't go anywhere. You don't walk off with a stranger or anything else like that. So you always had to be mindful of it, but we wouldn't let it, cloud our having fun or anything else like that. But yeah, I always remember that one.
Oh, man, God, I'm glad to hear that. I've always been curious, especially in our day, with cheerleaders and the public and all that good stuff. Preston, if with your blessing, I want to move into what she's been doing.
Yes, yes.
For
Let's do this. So let's meet the instructor. Let's meet the person. Explain to us your business today, but take us where you were in front of the camera and you made the decision to get behind the camera. And you mentioned earlier about observing people. Explain to everyone what that means.
Well, I was talent for about 12 years. I danced, I acted, I did commercials, and then I just got tired of taking pictures and just being in front of the camera. I really got tired of it. But because I was working, I've always worked in the industry. I looked around the set and I realized that, I could go behind the scenes. And so I actually liked the camera, but I didn't want to schlep all that equipment. I've always been a strong woman, but I just didn't want to do that. And so, and I like learned how to load film and all that kind of stuff because I'm really good with my fingers and stuff like that. But I started looking at that equipment, and I was like, no. And so I asked a young lady one day on the set. I said, "Who are you? What do you do?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm like the secretary on the set." Well, I'm old school secretary. When I went to school, you learned how to type. And I've taken every secretarial course that there was through high school. So that resonated with me. And I went and I looked it up in the library, got the book, and found out that I was paying attention. I just didn't know what things were called. And
Wow.
I basically started 1990. I started becoming a script supervisor. And what a script supervisor is that we write down what the camera shoots. Our notes go to the editor so they can put the film together. We're
Oh,
responsible for matching and continuity. I say that we're in the trenches with the big boys. We sit right next to the director. We need to know, it is a technical position. I need to know camera. I need to know editing. I need to know directing also. And because I was talent on the other side, I understood, how to approach and talk with the actors. So we are the bottom line in continuity. And that is like, makeup and hair, I might say the hair doesn't look right or, that type of thing. We're kind of the bottom line or the last defense before, to say, hey, this doesn't match or hey, that's not good. And that is what a script supervisor does. And I've been doing that for now 32 years.
wow, that's outstanding.
Interesting.
And you also have taken that to another level as well in teaching others this nice scenario. I mean, it's amazing. It sounds tough thinking about it. And I'm a writer, and I love to write, but
Yes.
a lot more details in what she does. How is that trying to get? I mean, is it an easy thing for others? Because based on your background and what you liked and what you did, it was natural. You found a niche with that. It was part of what your talent skills were. Is it tough for a lot of people to try to grasp that who may desire to move in that area?
The industry itself is an interesting, organization anyway. There are so many crafts in this industry. And so the industry for script supervising, it is we're trying to make changes. We are creating, and we have veteran script supervisors have come together, and have created an apprenticeship program, and we're hoping for it to launch this year in the fall. We've been working on it for about 3 years, and so it is a technical position. So you need to be trained. Unfortunately, it's been kind of odd how you get the training. It's been more in a private sector. Script supervisors that are retired or something like that. And so, as far as getting the training, A lot of people did like I did. I was actually taught myself until I said, oh, I better go to, let me take a class, and then I took a class. And then my first job was Boys in the Hood. So from the time that I started in 1990, 7 months later, I was doing Boys in the Hood, and that was my first movie, and that is what got me into the industry. And so I
Outstanding.
still, when you say, I always say I was a fish to water. But everyone's journey of how to do it is different. But now we're pushing and saying, get the training, get the education, get the basis, because it is a technical business. You can cost people money if don't know how to match and stuff, or you miss something, or you're not able to help the director with the vision and say, hey, you need this coverage or that coverage, that type of thing. And just like when you said that you're writing, well, I deal with scripts all the time. And so it needs to be in a certain format, for me to do my job. And so, even knowing how to do that and tell a writer, can I get a header? Can I get this type of thing? So it is a technical position, and one should be trained. And so before no one was saying it, now we saying it. Get the training. It really still in the private sector right now. And yes, I do have a course. I started training probably about my 4th year into it. People would just say, Dawn, teach me. And then when I did, I'm very analytical, which I didn't know. Someone called me anal, and I was like, anal? They go, yes, Dawn, you're anal. I go, really? They called me anal.
Detail oriented.
Detail oriented.
So I started doing that, but I would only teach once a year because I have always been a working script supervisor. And so then this year is my 10th year of being online. So I went online, and I have a course, and this is my 10th year.
Now, let me ask you this. Female, minority. How strong is that representation in the industry you're in?
Well, we always could use more. And as far as script supervising, there are very few. And I do try as best I can to reach out when I'm on the set to anyone that might be a PA or something like that. I ask them what they want to do, or would they be interested in script supervising. But you can always open up the doors for more minorities, but you have to go out and get them. You have to reach them. You have to, put in the effort. And I think right now that's what we're doing. I am on the outreach committee for the apprenticeship program, because we have to, once they get it together, once they get their application and the website up, then the outreach need to go out there and tell the different organizations about what we do and about the apprenticeship program, so that we can get different, unrepresented groups to get them to a thing. But yeah, you can always use more. I think that there's more in Atlanta. I mean, it's just awareness.
Yeah.
And I believe training, just because you want to be on set, go get that training. Don't just assume because you're a minority or that, well, you should give me a chance. Well, give me a chance if you have the background, or you do a little bit of work, or do a little research on your own. There are always freebies, low pay, graduate, theses that the graduate filmmaker needs to make, and they can always use help, to get that experience. Because a lot of times you can come on a set and you might be a PA or something like that, and look around. You got your opportunity, look around, and you might think that, oh, maybe I could be a grip or an electric, or, do hair or makeup, that type of thing. And a lot of times everyone loves to talk about their craft. So like getting on the set is always good, even in a PA position, and then start asking questions. Well, what do you do? And people always like to talk about their craft.
Wow. Do you think everybody's as open to you at mentoring? I mean, you've got the spirit like somebody you're approachable.
Yeah, I am.
You've probably met a few who maybe aren't. I don't know.
Well, when I was doing extra work. We were Screen Extras Guild, and I was on the set, and I did meet she was one of the first Black script supervisors. She's passed now. Her name is Vivian Jones, and she was the first Black script supervisor in the union. And I think it was Knots Landing that she was on. And I went up to her and I said, hey, I'm interested in script supervising and blah, 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 thinking that she would be interested, but she was on her way out and she was disgruntled. And so she said, not me. But she pointed me to somebody else. And then I went and talked to them. So yeah, you might go up to somebody who is not interested in mentoring, and then some are, and you might not want to go up to them when they doing a job. You might want to catch them at the, at the craft service table,
right,
or something like that. But timing is everything. But yeah, I've always been open. That's just who I am as a person. I'm not here to spoil anybody's dream. And if I know which way to point you, then I'll try to point you in that direction. But yeah, there's a lot of people who aren't.
Yeah, I just feel like you're warm, and I think for any young person, I didn't know anything about what you do, to be honest. So I'm going to confess right here, I totally stalked you online, and read your bio, and I just sat there with my jaw open, like. She worked on Star Wars and Poetic Justice. I thought, does she know Janet Jackson? Could she introduce me? No. Nip Tuck, I'm going to confess right now, I watched that show. I thought it was intense and weird, and I loved it. And I saw you did all this, and I thought, this is really incredible. So where could somebody, we usually do this at the end of a show together, but where could somebody find your online? Is that something you'd like to share if somebody was interested?
Yes. I go by The Art of Continuity. It is my trademark.
Okay.
And theartofcontinuity.com is my website for the craft. If people have questions, you can email and all that kind of good stuff. And I do answer. I might not answer that day, but I do answer, That's one way. And then also, if you want to, because I always open it up to, because I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So you can go to our local IATSE, IATSE, IATSE Local 871. And I do believe on the website, they have the list of other teachers also.
Okay.
Wow.
All you aspiring script supervisors and instructors, listen in. That is really cool. I have to ask an obvious question as we begin to run out of time. What an incredible life you've had. Who has proven to be the bigger diva in your nine? The football player, plug your ears, Preston, or the actress? Or are they similar in how you manage different personalities? And is that something you do?
I would say that, because I would say nowadays they're kind of equal. They have this thing called celebrity and being famous and stuff like that. And some of them believe the hype.
I like it.
Like you put your pennies on one leg at a time. So I'm treating you all equally. And I have done that. I will respect you because of what you're doing and stuff. But if you think that you're better, of which they have that, I just, ignore you and go about my business because I know what I give to a project, but I think nowadays too many of the actors want to be famous and not be an actor. An actor is a craft. And then the football player, if you're an athlete, do your job, but like, a lot of them want to be stars, I would think. The way that it comes across, I don't know. I'm not really, haven't been around football players or athletes in a minute. I will do an occasional commercial or something that the athlete is there and stuff. And everybody's always hyping them up because, one, they're happy that they're there. They're doing a commercial or whatever. So, they are treated very nicely. And, but yeah, we have that kind of fan kind of put people up on a pedestal, but I just have never really bought into it.
I love it. You absolutely answered my question. You did it so much better than what I asked at, because I really the cult of celebrity is so big now.
Yeah,
and
it's weird.
You've seen it. Yeah, incredible, Dawn.
I've done a poster. I signed my name and everything, but I used to talk people out of it. Or people wanted my autograph. I said, you don't need my autograph. You're not going to even remember who I am in 10 years. I just could not, because I wasn't from that. So I just could not get into it at all. So I've been there. I've been the it girl. I've been kind of like put up on a pedestal, but I didn't put myself up on a pedestal. I just tried to be as humble as possible and just be open. And unfortunately, that's just how the industry is. But I think that people are seeing that what you like the most, the actors that you like the most, they're really trained. They went to college. They honed their craft. They're not just trying to be famous. They're famous because they were so good.
Yeah, versus the one who's just really attractive, has no talent, and got into it through TikTok or something. Yeah, versus a classically trained. Yeah, I imagine I've got a million really deep, almost dark questions about that industry, but we'll save it for another time.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by it. Fascinated. We have kept you a long time. Preston, are you ready to...
are you going to shift that over to me then?
I'm going to shift it. This is your dear friend.
Okay. Well, Dawn, this is the part where we do the 2-minute drill, unlike we know it as on the field in the game, but a little different variation of the 2-minute drill. Quick wit, first answer that comes to you, make it comfortable. You need a little thought process. We got time to let you do it, but it's rapid fire. So if you're ready, we're going to take you through the 2-minute drill. All right, here we go. Cheerleader or dance performer?
Dance performer.
Oh,
Okay.
I knew that. Tacos or tamales?
Tamales.
Ooh, okay.
It's a rarity.
Okay, here's a good one. Movies or football?
Movies.
Okay.
And would that be a timely question? Would it have one time been sports or football? Or
Yes, I think so. I would have to say when I left after 4 years, I really did not watch football for a long time. I got burnt out. I had my fill.
wow.
So
Interesting.
I would watch it from a distance, or I would if it was a Super Bowl, that's it. I never watched during the season. I had gotten burnt out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Your favorite movie?
Well, I've always said The Rope, but I think it's all about Eve now. I really like that one. I like black and white movies.
Classic,
Alfred
yeah.
classics.
Yeah, 39 Steps or, wow.
Yeah, that's why I like The Rope because I do like Alfred Hitchcock. But then Betty Davis, we kill her.
Betty Davis. Oh, yeah.
She was
Don't we
intense.
like Betty Davis?
Yeah.
All right. Your most underrated accomplishment at any level. Something that you acquired or accomplished, but not great fanfare, but it was a huge accomplishment to you.
Well, I was able to, when you were looking me up, I'm sure that you hit IMDb, which is a database for the industry.
Yeah.
And when you would look for script supervisors, let's say you went to Star Wars and you would look for who was the script supervisor, I was in miscellaneous crew. Now they call it additional crew. So when I was president of my local, I was able to first you had to find IMDb. I used my contacts and it took us 4 years, but now I was able to get us a new category. It says script department and continuity. And that is an achievement that a lot of people kind of sort of don't know.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Let it be said, it was identified on this show. Outstanding.
I love that.
Yeah. Is that cool or what? All right. Here's a little different variation of that. This is the great accomplishment you might have been recognized for. Your greatest achievement in the film industry.
I think it's just who I've worked with. I did John Singleton's first 3 movies. I've worked with J.J. Abrams. I basically have done all his movies. So we've done the Star Treks and the Star Wars together. Wow. I think it's those. Yeah. So people like to say, pick which one. Well, I always give credit where credit due, having Boys in the Hood be my first. But I think it is, hanging out with John Singleton for 3 movies. The first 3, I did the first 3. And then with J.J. Abrams, which I've done Lost. I did the pilot of Lost with him. We did Mission Impossible 3, 2 Star Treks, 2 Star Wars. That's I'm not too much into TV anymore, but yeah, mainly a film script supervisor.
All right. Okay.
I love that.
Yeah. Here's our final one. Here's the big one. Who plays Dawn in a movie of your life?
Well, I would have to go with how J.J. Abrams does it. He gets the unknowns and makes them stars. So I would take
Love
an unknown
that.
and make
Love
them a
that
star.
answer. That is
Wow.
outstanding.
Okay.
Now you know she's a star to come out like that.
I think that she's in the last 45 minutes completely blown
yeah.
to bits the stereotype of that a cheerleader. I mean, you're very cerebral, you're very ambitious, and that I think that's amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
Well, I must say. Oh no, go ahead, Ed. Go ahead.
I just have one thing because it wasn't asked. It's like what I'm doing now is that I'm a founder of Date My Makeup. I have created makeup and skincare expiration labels.
Yes.
And so my website is datemymakeup.com because makeup and skincare products do expire. And so I've created these very visually and, pleasing makeup and expiration labels that you put on your product to let you know when your makeup or your skincare products have expired.
Wow.
That's my
So
favorite.
Dawn, so for all the ladies who will possibly be watching this show, where can they find your product or how can they get in touch?
It is datemymakeup.com, and in all the socials, it's Date My Makeup. So you can see I'm in the personal and product hygiene business. I'm about, the goal is to create an app to let you know when your makeup and skincare products expired. That is what I'm working on now, trying to find investors. So any investors out there that want to, get into the beauty game, and it's datemymakeup.com.
Wow.
Final question: what don't you do? What? I mean, what is the? I didn't even know about datemymakeup.com. We will make sure that message is out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just have always been very creative, and I don't believe in any limitations, and I don't believe in being pigeonholed, so I'm taking everything that I learned in filmmaking and I'm applying it to my business, and applying it to the blog and everything. I have a very entertaining blog also. So, I'm using everything that I can, and when I was a cheerleader, I learned, I observed and I saw, and I was in places and spaces that I was, I got to see a lot of things, and I just kept moving. I felt like I've been led, and I just keep going. So I don't squash anybody's dream. You can be whatever it is that you feel like you want to be, but you have to put in the work. You
Right.
can't just think it. You got to put in the work. And I believe that the doors will open up if you're on the right path of doing what you're supposed to do. And so I just kind of do it.
Well, how great. I know the one lady that's going to see this is Mary Cromwell. She says to say hello.
Oh, yes.
Former cheerleader as well. And,
Yes.
I went to her after inviting you, finding you, and I said, Mary, Dawn's going to be on. You got to come on. She says, no, Dawn's the best you're going to find. I said, okay, all right. So I'm going to still try to get her.
Mary has done a lot. Mary too has done a lot. She's just understating it. But yeah, there's quite a few of us that have gone on. We have lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
Myra was a lawyer. She has an interesting story. We have a lot of them that have gone on to do other stuff. And I'm going to put a shout out. I don't know if she would come, but Patty Cotero. She was an original. She was Aballonia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
She sure was.
all
You didn't know that, did you?
His mouth.
Wait.
I know. My partner.
Patty Cotero. Hi, Patty. I've been trying to get a hold of her, but Patty Cotero is Princess Aballonia. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I
Outstanding.
feel okay. I'm speechless. I am absolutely as the biggest Prince fan on earth. Stop it right now. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness.
She was beautiful. She still is, but she was. I think she was one of the prettiest. Was the prettiest cheerleader. But yeah, she was gorgeous, and so she went on and acted and did other stuff. But yeah, she's Apollonia.
Dawn, you have.
I worked with Prince one time, so yeah.
Did you really? Was he special?
Oh man, that man is a musician. It was a commercial, and we had for about 10 takes, which was probably like 2 hours. and every time he just got better and better. He played this. He was a musician, you know. But yeah, he was cool. He was really nice. He sat down on one side and the director was on the other, and you know, I was like sitting in the middle, you know, going like one of those. So yeah,
Love it.
I mean, he was, oh, yeah, the whole nother show.
Yeah.
Dawn, you have over-delivered and blown
Yes.
my mind with your story and some of these last-second tidbits she just tosses in at the end.
Yeah.
Good
That's,
grief.
you know, Prince and Apollonia.
Prince
you
and
know.
Apollonia. What? Like the poster I had on my wall? Okay, whatever. Wow. Thank you so much, Dawn. DateMyMakeup.com. We will absolutely share that with our listeners and on all our social media sites. Preston, I hope I could speak for you. You have been absolutely
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dawn.
Don, I love you. I just miss you. I'm so glad I found you. We'll stay in touch.
I appreciate.
Please
it.
come
Thank you
back.
for having me. Oh, anytime.
Please come
anytime.
back. Okay, folks, there it is. The great, the iconic Dawn Gilliam. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you may be. Listen, watch on YouTube if you'd like to see Dawn today and what she's doing. And follow us at gridironicon.com. For Preston and I, thanks again, and we will see you next week.